Burnout. Welcome everybody to the 6th episode of Burnout. How I managed to make this series into 6 episodes so far is beyond my expertise. The fact I made it to episode 6 is honestly baffling to me, because I'm terrible at doing anything. Alright, this week it's all about Phoenix, home of great restarts, and that's pretty much it. Pretty okay weekend at Phoenix, The racing there is alright for like the first 5 laps of a run, and then it's just single file snooze fest. But the only reason we have 2 races there is because NASCAR spent a lot of money renovating it. So, alright, let me adjust my camera real quick. There we go. Big thing to talk about, of course, is William Byron scoring his 2nd win of the season and his 2nd win in a row. First time that the 24 car has done that since 2007, and honestly, that's pretty cool to see. Byron's really in the midst of having some breakout seasons as of recent. We got to see him win 2 races last year, and now he's already won 2 races this year, winning 2 of the 3 West Coast Swing races, which honestly are pretty cool to see. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. I think Byron's really starting to break out as a legitimate Hendrick driver, which was something that was expected to happen eventually, because he was really good in the lower series. He was great in Truck Series. He was great in Xfinity Series. I feel like he was rushed off the Cup Series a little bit too early, which is probably why he kind of slumped out in his first 5 seasons. But he's starting now to finally pick up steam. I'm glad that Hendrick actually had hope in him, so yeah, he's definitely going to be a consistent, dominant driver in the coming seasons because of that. He's finally breaking out. Bowman's sort of starting to break out a little bit, but he still has yet to hit that peak yet. And then, like I mentioned before, other drivers like Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, and Ryan Preece, they have still yet to break out, but eventually they will, and they will be a fantastic next generation of drivers. So, yeah, congratulations, Willie B. You did it. You win 2 races, and you get to wear that comically large hat again. I wish I could wear that hat, but I'm broke. So yeah, some other things to talk about on the Sunday week as well. Byron was definitely earned that win. He was dominant in the first half of he was dominant. He was completely dominant in the first stage. He kind of fell back a little bit in stage 2 for Larson, but he definitely did still stay in contention throughout that race. And then in that last restart, he managed to strike at the right time, managed to hold off Ryan Blaney for that win. And if you ask me, yes, that definitely is a driver who deserves that victory after dominating the early portions and coming back right at the right time to win that race. So yeah, in that 3rd stage, there was a little bit of a battle between Larson and Harvick, and honestly, I thought Harvick could have actually gotten that win if it wasn't for that last restart. Harvick absolutely outran Larson the second half of the race, and probably could have been his final Phoenix win, but of course, we can't have nice things anymore, and NASCAR has to throw out a stupid caution, even though this time it wasn't as stupid as before, because, Harrisburg blew a tire.
Yo, come on, man, I can't have in this house!
If you ask me, yeah, that felt kind of weird. It feels like NASCAR is doing this a lot more, where they just find any reason to throw the caution out in the last 10 to 15 laps to try to create some sort of artificial exciting finish. Which, if you ask me, sure, it's fun, and sure, it's cool to have all these great restarts, but every once in a while, you gotta think to yourself, is it fair? Is it fair to the driver who was dominating the last 100 laps of this race, only for that chance to slip away from him because of some drivers smacking the wall and NASCAR throwing out the caution prematurely? It's nice to have those epic restarts, because Phoenix's restarts are some of the best in the circuit. Having the dog leg there right on the start-finish line like that, you see cars just, you could easily see 6-7 wide in those situations. But other than that, yeah, the racing there is pretty bland. So I don't blame NASCAR for trying to create some artificial entertainment at a track like that, because that track really struggles with those long green flag runs. But at the same time, I am very against artificial entertainment for that reason. It's I don't think it's worth taking a driver that could have earned that win and take his chance away from him just to create a more exciting finish. Which, if you ask me, is kind of counterintuitive, because overall, those kinds of races could actually be seen more negative. The rest of the race could have been good, but that finish kind of ruined the star-studded race. And then on that last restart as well, apparently Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin got into another conflict again, even though this time it really had no point to it. Apparently Denny ran Ross into the wall and they both ended up falling out of the top 10. Which, if you ask me, like, yeah, they're kind of rivals, so they're going to definitely poke around with each other like that. But at the same time, it was kind of pointless because they weren't even competing for the win at that point. There was no reason, really. They weren't even competing for the win. They were, like, in the top 10. So in the end, they both ended up having issues. I'm pretty sure Denny's just trying to keep the flame going for that rivalry, but if you ask me, eventually they gotta stop. I thought we were going to put that rivalry to an end after last season, after what happened at Martinsville. But I guess we're going to keep the storybook going. Yeah, I have no idea what to say about that otherwise. But yeah, and then the last thing to talk about is definitely something definitely worth talking about. Fox didn't screw up the broadcast this time! Woo! Yeah, this time they did a pretty good job with the broadcast. They had great camera. Clint Boyer finally actually showed some actual energy in the booth for once. And overall, yes, it was a fantastic event. Something else I'd like to point out about, I'm going to scoot over here so I can put my little graphic right here, is sort of a reason why there was a lot of commercials in these races. Apparently Mike Joy has been talking about that these broadcasts are pretty expensive, about like $25 million per race. That kind of justifies the heavy amounts of commercials. Alright, let me just go back here. So, yeah, as much as I do think that the commercials are kind of going out of hand, if broadcasts are going to cost that much, I mean, I'm going to cut it a little bit of slack. I still don't really enjoy the fact that you keep running commercials every 5 laps, but if it's to keep the lights on, the cameras on, I'm okay with it for the most part. So, I do think that eventually, I have talked about this before about NASCAR talking about doing some streaming services, and eventually I feel like that might end up being the case, because eventually NASCAR fans are going to get tired enough of these commercials and stop watching NASCAR races because of these commercials. But, I mean, if you have paid subscription, I think it'd be easier for NASCAR to sort of be able to run more ad-free racing, which, if you ask me, it'd be a fantastic thing. I don't know how it'd be done if it'd be on an actual existing service like Amazon Prime or Hulu or Netflix, or if they create their own service, they can sort of do a little bit of customability with the camera angles, which I think would be pretty cool. But yeah, that's the story for another day. And then moving on, we got the Xfinity race. We got to see, I predicted Chandler Smith was going to win that race. A different Smith won that race. Sammy Smith in the 18 car for JGR wins his first career victory there at Phoenix. Sammy, along with Jonathan Nemechek, they're starting to become some pretty good drivers in the Xfinity series at this point. And yes, JGR might have lost Kyle Busch, but overall, I think they have some fantastic drivers coming in the future as long as they don't fumble the bag. But yeah, I think this is definitely going to be a good thing for JGR and the Toyota cars as well, because it does give them some good drivers to look forward to in the coming seasons. So yeah. Aside from that, Justin Allgaier dominated the rest of the race aside from that, but I think got taken out late in the race, which kind of sucks because I predicted Junior Motorsports was going to win 10 races this year. They haven't won a single thing yet. They're spending more time fighting each other other than actually winning a race. Man, Allgaier, he really can't catch a break every once in a while, but when he wins, he does win. So, eventually he's going to win a race. Maybe he might win those 5 races I predicted at the beginning of the season. It's just going to happen later. We're only 4 races in the season, so anything can happen. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the Phoenix weekend. Overall, pretty alright race. Didn't really have much to talk about this time around, but I'm still like 14 minutes into my recording session. So yeah, overall, pretty good race, 3 stars, whatever. Racetrack's alright, even though I do feel like it struggles at green flag runs, but yeah, pretty good. Alright, so I got 3 other things to talk about this weekend. So before we do that, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and give me your liver so we can keep these lights on. You don't have to give me your liver, you gotta give me your pancreas. Alright, let's move on to the other news. First things first, probably the biggest thing that came out this week was Hendrick actually getting some parts confiscated by NASCAR. Apparently they're louvers, are they called? I don't know what they're called, but I don't even know what they are. But they got them confiscated from all the Hendrick cars. So they still managed to win the race this weekend, so I guess it didn't really matter too much. But the really question it has to ask, is there going to be a penalty in the works for that team? Is there
Phoenix
going to get hindered by a penalty or something? Because I have no idea why they got confiscated. So if you know, you can leave a comment in the comment section below explaining it to me, because I have a 2 IQ brain. So yeah, and then other Other news aside from that, a lot of drivers have been confirmed for the COTA race this season. Some big ones. Jimmy Johnson's going to be a big one. They're going to be running his second part-time race. And then some other big ones. Kimi Räikkönen is going to be making a second start in the Cup Series after making his first start last year at Watkins Glen. Connor Daly is going to be making another start after starting in the 500. Jenson Button's going to be making, I believe, his first ever start for Rick Ware Racing. And then Jordan Taylor is going to be filling in for Chase Elliott in the number 9 car. I'm actually really excited to see all these legendary open-wheel drivers racing in the COTA race this season. And Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he was an open-wheel driver for a few seasons, but I wouldn't really call him a legendary open-wheel driver. He's a legendary stock car driver. Something I'd like to ask about that, is there going to be another open-wheel takeover in the works as this? But if you ask me, absolutely no. This is something that's being done for fun. I think it's just a bunch of road course ringers that want to show off their talent in the Cup Series, which I think is a pretty healthy thing to do. Because I feel like it would definitely give some more attention to the road course races. So like, we're going to, like COTA, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, the Indy road course. So I feel like they would get a lot more attention with these open-wheel drivers racing in those races as well. So yep, I look forward to them racing later on this season at COTA. And then the last thing to talk about this week is about South Boston. I was going to mention it last weekend, but I didn't really quite get the information right. I said that South Boston had been sold, but it's actually South Boston is looking to sell. So South Boston's a short track. They used to run the Xfinity races there. I think they might have run Cup races there like in the 70s or whatever, but they did run Xfinity races in the 90s. Which, if you ask me, South Boston's the track that I think NASCAR could really return at, because it's a good track and a great market. It's in the Boston market, the region, not the mediocre restaurant. But yeah, if you ask me, I feel like South Boston, hopefully it doesn't get sold to something bad. And definitely not to the booming real estate markets. You realtors, you stay away. You stay away from the fairgrounds, and you stay away from South Boston. Alright, I jump scared you with a close-up of my eye, and I just jump scared you with a close-up of my finger. So, it is I, kid named Finger. Alright, as the legendary NNA Productions of Clickbait would say, this is getting out of hand. So let's go ahead and end this with my Atlanta predictions. We're heading back to Super Speedway racing this weekend at Atlanta. So here are my predictions for those. For the truck race, I'm predicting we're going to be seeing Ty Majeski, who I predict is going to be winning the championship as well, win his first race this season there at Atlanta. All right, for the Xfinity race, I'm going to predict that we're going to finally see Junior Motorsports win their first race this season with Josh Berry. Yep, so I predict Josh Berry's going to win that. And then lastly, for the Cup Series prediction, I'm going to go ahead and go for a pretty interesting one and predict Tyler Reddick will win. He came close to winning at Phoenix this weekend, and overall, I mean, he's racing for 2311, which we've seen with Bubba Wallace is a fantastic team for the super speedways and the big races and the big tracks. So I feel like Tyler Reddick will slip through and score his first win with that team and the first non-Chevy victory of the season. So yeah, that's it for episode 6. Last week I tore up my script, but I took all my credential information. So you can zoom, I can zoom right in. You guys can see I don't have any information. Nothing on the back either, because I was going to do something funny. I was going to put a fake IP address on the back, but I didn't, because I don't want to run the risk of getting doxxed. Alright, whatever. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Tune in next time as we talk about the Atlanta race. And yes, and don't forget to subscribe. Eventually, Ram Cuts 25. I'm going to keep saying that, where I say Ram Cuts 25 is coming soon, but it's probably never going to come because I'm lazy and I have a job. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.